Amen. Amen. I'd like to turn your attention to Nehemiah. Nehemiah, chapter 4 and verse 14. Nehemiah, chapter 4, verse 14. And it reads as follows. After I looked these things over, I stood up and I said to the nobles and the officials and the rest of the people, do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great, awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your home. Fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. For a subject today, we're going to speak about stand up, man up, remember, and fight. Stand up, man up, remember, and fight. Nehemiah was a man on a mission. And although he had prospered personally as an assistant to the Persian king, he chose to go back to his people, chose to go back to his community, to his hometown, to rebuild the walls. Jerusalem was a broken community at this time. It was destroyed by war, destroyed by captivity, oppression, and poverty. And Nehemiah rides around the city and takes an assessment of the broken walls. And while most people saw brokenness as a disgrace and saw these walls as unrepairable, Nehemiah saw rebuilding the walls as a moment to glorify God. He also saw rebuilding these walls as more than just rebuilding a structural thing, but the opportunity to rebuild the community. What people thought could not be done, Nehemiah saw what must be done. And as soon as he engages the people to do the righteous work, some haters, some bigots, and some power-hungry politicians jumped on the scene. And they began to plot against the people of God. And as Nehemiah sees this plot unfolding, rather than run back to Persia or wait for someone else to do something, he stands up and tells the people to man up, remember the God there were two main characters that were the enemies of the people of God. And both of them were politicians. Brothers, don't get so distracted by ESPN, the NBA, and the NFL, that you don't pay any attention to MSNBC, CNN, and NPR, or you might get out FOX by the GOP. Now Nehemiah was dealing with two district magistrates who hated the Jews. They couldn't stand to see these walls rebuilt. Sanballat, the Horonite, he was a Moabite. And these were the natural enemies of God's people. They hated on the Jews ever since they tried to leave Egypt. Just like we have had enemies hating on us ever since we left slavery. The Civil War, the South was willing to die to keep us in chains. The colonization movement, folks was trying to get us to go back to Africa. The chain gangs was just slavery by another name. The race riots, folks burned down Black Wall Streets and lynched our people to strike terror in our communities. Jim Crow politicians made laws to oppress the people of God. The Dixiecrats, the Southern Strategy, right-wing Christian conservatives, today is the Tea Party, the House majority, voter intimidation tactics, these phony ID laws, the Republican presidential primary is all a plot by the enemies of God to come against the people of color to destroy any chance of us rebuilding our community. Don't get it twisted. Sanballat is alive and well and trying to do anything he can to keep us from rebuilding the walls, from rebuilding the communities, from rebuilding our schools, rebuilding our families, rebuilding our wealth. Sanballat will steal an election if he's got to. Then you got Tobiah the servant. The term indicates him to have been a freed slave. Elevated to some official dignity. There's always some house Negro trying to shut down. Like